switcheroo here. So, no, this is not an illegal stream of the Panthers game, everybody. This is Francisco here for Sports Goofs number 196 with my buddy Charles. So, if anybody's thought that was what this was, you're going to be severely disappointed. You kind of see it in the corner of the screen over there. If you want to do that while we ramble on about God knows what, because it's been a couple weeks now, Charles. This might be a bi-weekly show. It might actually work out for us for like content and stuff like that. But yeah. How's your last couple weeks been, Charles?
Well, bi-weekly on a sports show is kind of perfect for non-season. So basically, we would say from July to
not NFL,
September,
college football season. Yeah, basically football.
You know, it's kind of tough. I mean, it's our show. We can do whatever we want with it. I would say it has been fine. I don't really remember anything in the last 2 weeks of like big positioning, and that's sometimes the problem with the gaps. And you've heard me say on the show before, what's important on a Monday is unimportant on a Wednesday, and when news breaks. I have been just, I'll start the show off fun here. Or at least fun to my thing. I have somehow developed an allergy to something that I eat, and it's inconsistent.
Ooh.
And I have taken like 4 Benadryls today, and I don't know what it is. And here I am thinking if it's wheat, if it's gluten, if it's whatever. And it started 2 weeks ago when I was drinking some scotch, good scotch that I bought, Quinta Ruba from Glenmorangie, 14-year, $68, and what it's mixed with, and then I got a little I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh no. But I'm like, all right, let me take off of that. In the last 2 weeks, I've been kind of like food tracking that culminated to today. Because I've had bread, and I'm okay. And I've had like potatoes, okay. I had a beer when I went to Castaways to the family on Saturday, and I was okay. But then last night, I had pechuga with rice, and then tortilla, and it was just liquid violence, like, straight up, and a little bit of a tightness and flushing. And then this morning, and I know, please don't judge me, I woke up at 2 a.m. and I had a Pop-Tart and like 3 like mini donuts. I fell back asleep because I'm an animal when I wake up like that, but no reaction. But then I had my protein powder, and my protein powder this morning consisted of protein shake, greens, reishi cordyceps powder, like the mushrooms that's cultivated like brown rice, right? To get the live culture in there. And then just other stuff. And then I'm like, oh no. And I'm just liquid violence. Thankfully I had afternoon court, but then I had Jimmy John's for lunch, man. Or not Jimmy John's, Jersey Mike's. We love Jersey Mike's. I'm sitting there. I had a Club Supreme, and I felt that face get tight. And I'm like, how could it be bread when I've literally had bread? So I've been theorizing, and we're going to follow this journey because I have a food journal now because I have to call for an allergen.
Oh my goodness.
But I'll tell you guys now, if I can never have a donut, I will kill myself. Not really, maybe. But I don't think it's that because it's
It'll
too
just be
inconsistent.
something to add to the list of reasons.
Yeah, right. But, well, I have happier news in a way. And, this is the Lord give one hand, takes from the other. But I'm thinking, this is a theory I have. I have a high culture of probiotics. So maybe I've been double dipping it too much. And then that's just causing some issues. So we're going to detox. Not alcohol or drugs, guys. We're going to detox from all, like, anything to eat. And, just really just greens. Because it's too inconsistent on wheat and gluten. And I just, like, I had a pizza. Like, I had a burger, So it's no sense because people are like, oh, maybe it's stress. I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty good with my stress levels because I just go and I work out, and I don't think it would have that thing every time I eat, even though I can be hypochondriac. I haven't really had a rash, but it's a tightness in the face and the rumblies and the tumblies. So I'm literally driving to court today, and I take a Benadryl and a half, an enzyme, and caffeine to kind of like counteract
balance it out. Yeah, exactly. From the drowsiness with the aliveness.
I can deal with here's the thing, go to the court, you get the energy. Have you guys ever had allergic shits? One.
My
so
God.
This is a show, right? It is a different kind of animal. We all have had that if you had a minor food allergy or intolerance and stuff like that. When you're going to court, you're sitting in a pew, right? Or like the little chairs. So you're prone to position. I'm 34, man. You lose control as you get older, right? Peyton Manning ain't got the arm strength anymore. You know what
Panthers
I mean?
are up 1-0 to start the game against the Bruins.
Play Preppas.
1930, like 27 seconds.
You see, I galvanized it. They understood.
They
understood. Sam Reinhardt's like, oh, how'd you shit too? I know what that's about. So we don't know. But this is also kind of the fun part because I'm like, oh, what was this? Because I was like, am I allergic to alcohol? And I was like, oh no. But then I'm like, you have to really weigh in the factors. And I'm 34, so I'll just give my age out there. And I've heard people getting like late stage allergy, but it has to have like a building block. So I think really I'm just taking too much of something in my body. We're gonna ease it up. But I gotta tell you, too many Benadryls. I'm too calm. I'm even calm for this show right now when we're just talking about my body and things I love.
That'll do.
But it's curious. So that's how I will tell you what the 2 weeks have been like. Sports wise, it's whatever. You know, Yankees have taken away my hope. I have no hope.
We'll get to
Titans
that.
have given me hope. We'll talk about that. Miami Heat. I might see them Friday, but we'll see. And then, and then hockey. I've been watching hockey and then watching March Madness. So that's, I've been playing a lot of Hogwarts Legacy. And I did conquer, guys, the boulder of Sisyphus. But it isn't a video game. It's a certain anime.
Oh, yes.
And I were building into it.
Yeah, this episode's going to be a bit... Oh, it's already getting chippy now with Bruins and the Panthers. There we go. We're going to get into pretty much a little bit of everything, all entertainment and everything like that.
It's definitely going to be a Charles and Francisco show.
Yeah, Andrew's not here, but he supposedly will be finally in finally have a base of operations which he can kind of pop back in here for the last 4 episodes that we're going to do this, which I don't know, might last us next month or so. But if the playoff runs get deep for our teams, we might just keep the ball rolling from there. Entertainment news and stuff, we'll talk about that. Sports stuff, baseball, basketball, hockey, anything like that, gaming, who knows. So, and Panthers on the power play, great, good job. And at this point, I've been trying some stuff, been going out to eat more recently for reasons. So I'm trying out foods and everything like that. We'll get into non-sponsors. We might have 2.
You ever think that's the hardest part about this? If you asked earlier about like the hard part about like taking off for some time and doing bi-weeklies, I always kind of forget what was good as a non-sponsor.
Yeah.
So I have to literally right before we get to our segment, I have to scroll. I literally got to scroll through my bank statements. I'm like, all right, well, it cost me a lot of money, but it was worth it.
Yeah. Well, start thinking about it right now. At this point, I'm gonna go into. Let's talk about baseball because we're on the season has technically officially started. So we got 2 of those. There's some fun news we can talk about. Some conspiracy theories as to what's going down in Los Angeles right now. Actually, let's get into it now. So, all right, Charles, is Ohtani in on this? Did he actually do the thing? Put on the tinfoil hats. Let's go.
I am very disappointed that you did not title the episode "All Bets on Me." With a Z. I like Norway Epi.
Yeah, Norway Ippei. There we go.
Yeah, I like that because you guys are never part of the group chat, and I know who Tupac is. Francisco knows who Tupac is. Andrew knows who Tupac is. I do not believe that Andrew has listened to a single Tupac song in his lifetime.
Not.
So the thing is like in our group chat when I'm just creating this crazy stuff, and the reason why I put all bets on me is because Ohtani is a West Coast player with the Angels and then with the Dodgers. So I'm like, yep, I'm just seeing it right now. Because it is all eyes on me for Shohei. And you guys are just trying to see me try to give the plight of my cool little tongue-in-cheek title. But Norway Ippei kind of works a lot better. And that what goes to show that you guys understand what goes behind the scenes. And we were talking about it.
Oh, I should have put that poll that you put up. Actually, I should do that. Whenever you think of a poll topic, Charles, I'm just going to put it up on Twitter and see what the people think. And we'll see if, like, maybe one of them catches on. People are like, oh, shit, yeah. Yeah, did he?
Well, that was another thing, too. Andrew was like, who is Faith Evans in our chat? Because we were talking about Puff Daddy and why he had Biggie killed. I'm just saying, like, I don't care. I know. So it's because not only are we trying to laugh,
need to get this man invited to a cookout. Let's go.
Right? I know. Just come in with certain kind of things.
I'm invited to all cookouts, by the way.
Exactly. And I'm a man of the people. As a lawyer, we're always kind of invited because somebody's always going to want something out of us. So I will be the person who says that. That is that Clark. You always want that one guy who can get the DUI, and I'll be like, I don't do any of that.
Yeah, severely disappoint people. There we go.
I know, right? Like, not-profit immigration. Like, what we're talking about? Like, what do you got? So, Otani, very long story short, because I couldn't even give you the story because the story has changed. But you guys can go on the Twitter, follow us on Twitter, Charles the True, Dan Frijoles, FJOJR Jr., Sports_Goofs, Marlins historian, which is going to be ramping up real quickly, Panthers historian, which is at its peak right now.
I got all those fun things. I got three. I got shit to give away for this week. I have some extra Marlins stuff that I am unloading that I do not need. I have duplicates of certain stuff, so I am unloading them. I'll just be giving them out randomly. I don't know how I'll do it, but I've done it before in the past. I might just be like, hey, yo, I got this. Whoever DMs me first gets it, So that's how it'll go down.
Yeah, like he can do what he wants that, and you don't win if you don't play, boys and girls.
I thought about, like, because some people do, like, I'm in the ballpark. If you can find me, then I'll give it to you. And I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with it.
Do you want to meet these people?
Yeah, I don't mind meeting the people, but I feel like that'll just be like a hassle. I got to carry it around. What if nobody finds me? That's embarrassing,
Yeah, that's the hard part for me. I hope no one ever meets me and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I know that's like the most.
Wait, you're not a giant luchador.
Yeah, they're like, what? Like you're 5'7", like 160. You're not like
so
6'2", 250. Yeah, you're like you look exactly what you sound like. You don't have a mustache. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. My apologies. Moving forward is. With Shohei, you can always bet on us, by the way. Hard Rock, come get us, please.
Exactly. I'm ready to ruin lives.
Yeah, we have no morals. We literally don't care. So you can get the stories from there. I think it's a waste of precious time that we have to go over it. But it was something that we put in chat. And, Andrew, out of the three of us, is Mr. Morale. But I will say this. I was very impressed with it because he loves Shohei. I was the one who would call Shohei mid. He's not mid. I know that. It was just he's a special talent, but I know that he was somebody that Andrew felt like galvanized and stuff like that. So I was more like, okay, how is Andrew, who sometimes is the one who's bringing both the cross and the nails if someone does something wrong without exception. It's just
all the PD guys,
views. Yeah, it's who he views as with players. It's just how it is. And you need people like that. In this world, I think, because it sets it out. But it's very interesting with someone that you didn't expect. But I think what we put into the chat, and what I love about these kind of controversies is everybody becomes an expert. From the person who have the law degrees like us are trying to figure stuff out, to the actual people who actually do this for a living, who can't comment but are just probably chuckling at our idiocy, to the people who are just like, all right, minimum wage, baby. Let me get an opinion on this like it goes from everything. And
good old shit post.
Yeah, and the common sense question I always had with this was, you need to explain to me how I don't know money's missing and how it's done incrementally. Because here's the thing. Statement 1 saying I covered bank debts, right? Or gambling debts. Statement 2 says I was a victim of fraud. I'm like, those are two diametrically different things. Fraud is saying, hey, I got embezzled and stuff taken away without me knowledge, knowing consent. I was bamboozled, floundered. Covering means I gave you permission to do something. It's so different. Unless, and you know what surprises me? And no one's like inquiring this. I'm like, well, maybe it is actually the language barrier. Don't know how to articulate. That's why they held the 15-minute presser. I'm like, okay, fair. But why would your team give some statements out there? I don't find Ippei credible because of the fact that, obviously he has to kind of like burn the ship down. It's very much of a Brian, whatever his name was, the guy who was trying to bring out people all the PEDs, and then was saying Clemens did it, and Clemens had to go testify for people. It'll come back to me, for it. But then they're saying he's a victim of this, all this other stuff coming out, and he didn't take any questions. And this reminds me of a couple things from speeches ago where Andrew was talking about his one of the coaches in college. I don't know if it was UCF or not, but how there was an investigation. They can't inquire further because lawyers write you up some stuff and your PR publicist writes you up some stuff. But we said the common sense question and answer in the chat was, you got to have some knowledge the money's kind of going, right? To a degree, unless you have either A, the world's worst financial assistant, financial manager.
Yep.
Which is possible because look at every R&B, rap, rock star out there, right?
The ones that are not going to jail for allegations and everything.
Yeah. So it is one. Two, it's if you have it, how do you not notice it that it's going? Because even if it's incrementally, Shohei's been in the league for what, 6-7 years? Brian McNamee. I was going to say McCann, but he was a Yankee. But Shohei knew. I'm not saying what he knew. I'm just saying Shohei got paid. He knew we got paid to go from there. Like financial advisors, you still have to kind of like check it. But how the guy's been in the league for 6-7 years, he's not getting that gross amount of money, but he's making out per year less than when he was making with the Angels, I believe. So
because of all the ferments, yeah.
And taxes, all that stuff. It doesn't make sense. And then the whole thing is like he covered the gambling debts. Do we feel that was done to save his face there? But Ippei is reputable in one thing, that he did something wrong. Understand that. But I just find it interesting that there's two level things, and we're just having fun with it because the ramifications, and the reason why I'm having fun, because I'll give you my answer of actually what I think happened, but the ramifications comes to two things. One, somehow it becomes a Pete Rose argument, which is vastly different in my opinion, and we'll talk about that. And then somehow this gets linked to Trevor Bauer, because we were shitting on that. And this is what I hate about the internet. But my belief is that Ohtani probably knew something was going on. He probably talked to his guy about it, but we don't know if it comes from one major trust account or bank account. It's probably spread across. And it is to be human to say, hey, I don't check every nickel and dime. Why do I think that answer? I like that answer myself is because the fact is an acknowledgement that something's up. Maybe there's a confrontation, but who's to say, hey, I covered all this stuff for gambling debts versus I made bad investments? You know how those things are two different in terminology. I'm not going to take this money to get high, or I have an addiction, I have a problem. You're more forgiving on one that sounds more serious or less serious. It depends who you are as a person. But I've said this in the chat, and then I want to hear your opinion and open up to those two branching arguments. I don't think there's going to be any consequence of it. It does put the MLB in a rock and a hard place, but the whole idea, if you investigate it as a fraud, you keep it as a fraud, there's nothing to show that there was betting done on a fraud. It's not a Michael Jackson. Well, that's a different person, superstar. It's not a Bad Boys for Life. It's not a Michael Jordan situation where he's going to retire for a year. And really what's going to happen is, you're going to be posterized as the person who's too trusting of human beings, because I'll lend you guys like $100 if you ask me. I can give you $4.5 million. But unless you have real proof that something happened with betting and gambling on MLB teams, it's just going to be one of those things where it's a sexy off-season topic, and then they're going to transition it to, but look at all the controversy Dodgers started. Look what Shohei's doing right now. Not only is he just rehabbing his arm, can't pitch this year, but he's going to be able to try to go for a record-setting, third MVP within X amount of years and going from here. And can he do this as the MLB? And can he lead the Dodgers? They're going to create it into a story narrative. So for the people who love the chisme and love the gossip and love conspiracy theories, fine. Do I think he had knowledge? Yeah, because it's too big of a money sum, and you're seeing where that money is getting wired to. I always check, even when I get my haircuts and it's through Zelle or Venmo, it better be to the people who cut my damn hair, and I know those people's names. But that's the whole thing about fraud. If you investigate as fraud, it's someone did something distressing. Bernie Madoff can speak on it, so could the Mets former owners. Just saying. But I think the problem is we hate greatness in the sport and all the other sports, right? So we need anything that we feel could tarnish the face of the brand. And we have put Shohei as the face of the brand. And I don't consider Shohei the face of the brand of baseball. He is, because he's a dual sport player. I really want to see how good he is this year, because he's not going to be pitching this year, right? For the most part. And he's just going to be doing DH. Yeah. So is that enough to be the leveling of it? But he was something unique, rare, and all that stuff, because baseball, to a degree, has floundered, in my opinion, finding who the proper face would be. That's why we're really just kind of like perpetuating people, because I think
even then, I think baseball would rather someone other than Ohtani be the face in a way. In a bit of a way.
Yeah. But you're not wrong, because it's the same argument of like how come Jokic is not the face of the NBA, even though in all theory he should be. He should have won the third MVP in a row, and they gave it to Joel, which was not deserving whatsoever. And it's the same way of like we had Brady, we had Vinatieri kicked him out, and then there was the Deflategate, and then there was the cameras and Spygate. Boom. We always want a narrative on what we presume to be, and there's never one singular face of a sport. Jordan Bulls era, maybe you can make that argument, but I would fight you on a few of those because Space Jam didn't just have Michael doing it itself, guys. That's your litmus test. But every sport tends to have multiple, but we do tend to hate the ones that are just given the kiss of greatness from fans, from media, without winning anything either. It does happen. And baseball is a sport where there's a lot of people who have been great that have not accomplished the rings, but they have individual accomplishments.
Right.
And so I don't see any penalty of it. And frankly, I don't care. If he actually legitimately betted on it, the contents of the bet, I don't care because it doesn't cheat the game, right? Unless you think he took dives, because I can't imagine him taking the over. Amazing if he did. Then you should definitely give an automatic Hall of Fame and name every award out of him. Like, oh yeah, the over on me was to pitch 7 innings and then to give up only 3.4 ERA, but I end up doing 8 innings and go on 2. That's fantastic. Holy crap, right? But I don't think it cheapens the game. Pete Rose is a different argument. We're going to break it down because baseball is sexy right here because we just love to not let go on some stuff. But gambling is addiction, sure, whatever. Almost lost my train of thought, but I don't care. It's not doing anything performance-based. And right now, it goes back to the argument that I made for Clemens and McNamee years ago. If one person is pointing the finger and another person is pointing the finger, you're giving the benefit of the doubt to the person, I think, who got caught versus the person who's accused but didn't do anything that has shows of any proof of doing anything. Because is that not the argument of what was going on with McNamee? Rocket pissed clean, if memory serves me correctly. And mind you guys, it's been like 13 years now. But they never had anything detected. But you made the credibility, and Brian McNamee was doing it to save his face, right? And his reputation, not take that time in jail. Couldn't it be Ippei, who was already being investigated? The guy that was linked up was being investigated. People get their identity stolen all the time. Anything's open, and we're going to make a determination on this within 3 days of information. And that's another reason why I don't care, because I know it's so infantile in its investigation and dealing with the subject matter of fraud. Fraud is a very complex crime.
Yeah.
That is
this is
not
only the surface. Yeah.
Yeah. And for people who really don't understand it, I don't want to say that you're uneducated on it, but you're given the cinematic heist movie explanation of it, especially in 2024, where fake accounts, fake profiles, you have people don't even do proper passwords on your computer, man. So that's my very big diatribe. So I'll let.
I'm looking at this. So I'm looking at Ohtani's like career earnings, as far as just his major league salary, because he's made $67 million, close to $68 million right now, not including this season, with the new mega contract or whatever. But he's just getting $2 million until he gets to all the deferrals later. All the money he's made with the Angels and everything like that, right? Yeah. And then. He's made that money. He makes more on endorsement deals than anything else, right? I think this year alone he's going to make like $60 million at least in endorsements. That's because he's like the biggest star. He's an icon in Japan. I think that's mostly where most of that's coming from. Because I'm not seeing Ohtani everywhere here in the United States. Right?
No,
he got like a deal with like New Balance or something like that. But like aside from that, I think it's mostly Japanese money where he's making.
He's not gonna be doing Subway commercials, guys.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So when you add on top of, let's say he makes at least 30 mil in his prior to leaving the Angels, like, all right, fine. He's maybe. Over the course of all that time, 6 seasons already, 6 years. Ippei could probably, in an office space sort of way, like, skim a little off the top, little by little. He was like, Ohtani was supposedly had him as like a guy that he wasn't just a translator, he was like a sort of like a manager in some sense and everything like that. And so I can kind of get that. And supposedly they were buds, right? That's the other thing.
Boys.
They were boys. They were hanging out. They were doing whatever. They were basically, 365, hanging out with his dog. Like, that was that was the relationship that they had. I can believe that maybe his buddy got into a bit of issues with regards to gambling, and he helped out his boy.
Can I be proud that the American culture on Twitter does not use the word Yakuza at any juncture? I'm going to be proud. We have made it. We have progressed.
Well, I was going to talk a little bit about not the Yakuza in general, but the cultural relationship that Japan has with gambling.
Yeah.
Because gambling is considered a taboo in Japan. They find unique ways around certain things to not label them as gambling, i.e. pachinko slots, patchy slot parlors, all those places. Like, all of those are...
In America, it's IPA. IPA beers.
So, but essentially, they've created an entire industry of not gambling, not technically gambling, but in a way it is kind of gambling, but it's
just
not.
The tip of gambling.
Right, exactly. They've made an entire thing, and I think a lot of baseball fans don't even understand it. But us, being nerds and gamers, we understand that relationship, right? You know, there's a Metal Gear Solid 3 patchy slot machine in Japan. So
can we just say I love the Metal Gear Kojima thing that we created in there?
Yeah.
How Kojima write that story?
That would be fun. I mean, Kojima should have written his speech there, his press conference there, his statement. But so there is a possibility that, hey, Ippei gets to the United States. They're in Southern California. That's not far from Vegas. And indulged in something cultural he couldn't get in Japan. He couldn't get the full hit where he can get it here in the United States, and things snowballed a bit, right? It may have... So I can see, hey, my buddies had a problem, and this and that was going on. And I mean, so far we aren't there yet completely as far as what'll be punishments and any sentencing, anything like that. We're not there yet. This is just, once again, we're still on the surface of this, so we still got a ways to go before any of this settles. But I can realistically see my buddy got into some trouble here, getting into the forbidden fruit that he couldn't have in Japan, and now we're screwed here. You know what I mean? So that's my if worst case scenario for Otani. Ultimately, I like the memes. The memes are fun.
Oh yeah. Listen, we love it. We're hypocrites.
Yeah, exactly. I've been indulging in the memes. That's the funniest thing of all of this.
Between this, Jordan Porter of the NBA, who coincidentally got hit on the betting stuff, Otto Porter brother, and then Puff Daddy and all the stuff there. This has been a glutton of humor for us.
Exactly. Like we've been going through all of this. It's funny seeing that. It's funny seeing reactions of Dodgers fans.
Yeah.
Because they're a lot of them are contending with the fact that most of Major League Baseball doesn't like them in the way that we didn't like the Yankees back in the dynasty days, except those Yankees teams actually had the hardware to back it up, and not the bubble World Series that this team has.
But you advanced. You're not saying Mickey Mouse Trophy anymore. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Oh, it's a bubble trophy, so I mean, that's fine. And it's funny seeing the reactions. It's funny seeing Astros fans kind of goading them on in some ways, and which is always kind of fun. It's also funny seeing Astros fans getting kind of all worked up, like, oh, you guys didn't give the benefit of the doubt to our players. It's like, you know, there's a lot of layers to all of this with regards to every single spectrum of the MLB fandom. It's been really fun to see creativity with this. I said the thing, and I retweeted on our account that Joe Kelly getting his car. His Porsche impounded by the IRS because Otani gifted it, whatever. And I don't know what California's gambling laws are. They don't have
I
whatever.
don't think gambling's legal in California.
Yeah,
That's the controversy. That's the issue.
yeah. So that was the big issue there, going through the bookmaker and everything like that. So, you know, uh, Ippei couldn't get out to Vegas as much as possible, right? So
Yeah.
he had to be with his major league schedule 8 months out of the year, right? So he just needed to go through
Well,
the
that
bookie.
begs a big question. If there's limitations of your travel, you know, you checking your money daily. I just need to know because I can believe a complex fraud thing. People still fall for like. There's the old trick. I don't want to give insight, but there's the old trick of like you collect data information. People who are in their late 70s, 80s, 90s that don't live in a home, like a nursing home, and then you just call them. It's like, oh hey, this is such and such, we're such and such, and we just need this information, and you repeat it. People get scammed on the honest things without realizing it. So my counterpoint to that, because I'll just give you guys some insights of how the game's done, is which I would never do, which is if he is gone and it's months on months end coming into it where he can't go and he can't gamble, then you would think it has to be sizable, or is the betting done over the phone on a website elsewhere? I don't know. Because that's
we're
fraud,
still there.
and that's the
We're
complexity.
still there. We're gonna find out eventually how exactly Ippei was doing his thing. We'll see. So that's been fun. It's been fun to see. As far as everything else, baseball season is about to start. I don't even.
I want to branch on two things that
Yeah.
we talked about because I can never not shit on Trevor Bauer's 6.
Oh yeah,
So-
these were the other outside scenarios. As far as the Pete Rose thing,
Let it go. I didn't even know Pete Rose is still alive. I said it. I said it in the chat.
yeah, he's still alive, and he said something because, of course, somebody had him recorded.
He
saying
goes,
something.
I think it was John Boy. He's like, wish I had a translator back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, all right, fine. Hey, oh well.
I mean, you talk about a former player and or manager who has probably profited the most, and they just scored on me, profited the most of not getting to the Hall of Fame. Remember, like you were given WWE exposure.
He's been more relevant because of that.
Yeah, literally, it's sometimes it's good being the black sheep, right? And the selling difference, if memory serves right, Pete was betting on them games, man, that you were managing, and so it was a harder time. We were a harder country on drugs half the time. We technically still are. We just use that prosecutorial discretion, but it's clout chasing to a degree, and it kind of falls into the couple boys be boys mentality. But I don't lose sleep over Pete Rose not being in the Hall of Fame, and I think we gotta kind of let that ish go because we all know the Hall of Fame's a hack anyway. So if anything, this supports an argument. I've been telling you guys 5 years.
Yeah. And then we got the second aspect of it, which is the whole Trevor Bauer thing.
Y'all know I don't like Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to start this part of the conversation. And it is kind of, I'll say it's disgusting to go onto the branch or threads of Twitter on the replies on the reply, which that was my fault for doing it, where everybody's like, he'll take the minimum veteran. And he'll do this, he'll do that.
You got to get out of that,
He beat the Yankees C squad and the Diablos. And first and foremost, it's okay, he's a talent, sure, but you have that discretion. And it's not really blackball because their whole thing is like, oh, well, he was proven innocent in those civil suits and there was declined criminal prosecution. But if memory.
All right. Let's see if he comes back. Charles is kind of lost here. It's not my connection, I'll tell you that much. So here we go. All right, Charles, I don't know if you can hear me, but you are gone, and I will just narrate what's going on with the Panthers and the Bruins so far. I have been kind of sneaking a peek at it. They're almost done with the first period here. 3:17 left. Pretty chippy game thus far, and I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I think the Panthers can clinch tonight. I'm just gonna try and restart this. No, he's completely fallen off, so he's lost his internet connection. That's fun. I'll just wait here and see if he pops back in. As far as I'm just gonna go into an NHL tangent. Panthers could clinch tonight. Scenario is they have to win, and then there's scenarios of like the Red Wings losing and the Flyers losing. So there's a possibility that tonight they'll clinch a playoff spot. Of course, that's not the entire goal here. That's just a step towards the ultimate prize of winning the Stanley Cup. This Panthers team is the most poised we've had in a long time beforehand to get there. Of course, last season was more of a Cinderella type of run, and now they've completely taken all of that momentum from that season and have spread it out across an entire regular season instead of just the postseason. So, and we'll see if that spread can get to 16 victories more come April, whatever, mid-April. So that's the hope there. And right now there's a big race for the President's Trophy at this point.
I'm back.
And So your internet connection went down. I've just been talking about the Panthers and the NHL and the President's Trophy race right now. So it went off a completely different topic there, Charles. But you were in the middle of your Bauer statement there.
Statements. There we go. I mean, humanity just baffles me, right? They just baffle me. Because small soapbox, it's either innocent until proven guilty, right? And then we're just chiming in, but we say we know guilty. But even when someone could be convicted of something going like that, you'll make an exception to that too. Like, make up your mind what you want to be as a society. It's he's getting opportunities that are not on the major league level. It is their discretion as a body committee. And here's the argument I'm going to make, and I'm going to say it, and this should shut up every Trevor Bauer person, so please don't cut my mic, MLB. Where were you guys this upset about Colin Kaepernick? Just saying. You want to talk about blackballing and everything like that? Because I'm not even saying that, starting quarterback play, but, it wasn't that steep of a drop-off when you have G. Chris and then Chip Kelly as your coaches. And some people want to say apples and oranges. It is on the subject matter to a slight degree, but you're talking about personal choices that players have made and the responses from a governing body commission and the fandom, a little bit hypocritical. That's all I'll say. I don't know how you feel about Trevor Bauer. I always felt that was the linkage, and that's what surprises me about people. Like, we'll really fight on what we want to fight for. Just saying.
I mean, at this point, I've watched a couple videos as to the aspect of him as a human being, and it's not really a collusion type of thing where nobody wants to sign him because they're trying to keep him down, because not even your own players association is defending you. Not even your own teammates from the past have vouched for you in any sort of way, right? And then and you have active hatred amongst some of your old teammates going back to college. Garrett Cole, famously, of course, hates the man with the rage of 1,000 suns, right? So the fact that you have, as a personality, scared away any suitors is on Bauer himself. That's on him. That's on him, where he is so toxic that not even talent alone can overcome that. And that's a high bar, because we know across any sport, you have enough talent, they will put up with any shit that you put out there. I mean, Ray Lewis allegedly might have helped kill a man, and yet Dante
Stallworth ran over somebody, killed somebody drunk driving, out of the league for 2 years, and was able to go with the Browns. I think the Dolphins.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not to smother Dante Stallworth to a degree, but that's a prime example.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill has done things and is continuing to do things which are especially egregious, allegedly, and some slightly proven. So, it's that's my opinion. He's scared everybody out of baseball with regards to him, and I mean he's just a fucking piece of shit. So 7. So that's my thing on Bauer. The other thing, did you watch anything of the Jazz Chisholm thing with regards to him like calling people out? I mean, ultimately,
Yeah,
in the grand scheme of things,
yes,
doesn't really
he was
matter.
he was throwing shade. Well, it's our team, so we can talk about that. We're not going to go through a full insight, guys.
Yeah, no,
But
yeah.
he was throwing shade at Rojas, right?
As a third party, yeah, as a third party, because I think I'm a little too
Yeah. Well, I think
emotionally
it's okay.
invested into it.
Well, I got you, bro. I got you. It is okay for players to call out other players that are no longer on their team. Plain and simple. Because you are the face of that brand, that franchise, and if you're saying leadership skills, teamwork, team cohesion is a negative factor because that player, then you have every right to. Why? Because your managers and coaches do that all the time, every other sport. So I actually love hearing that from players who have that initiative instead of managers and coaches, because manager and coaches are really just, at the end of the day, they cut the players, they bench them. Their form of accountability is not really team-based accountability. It's for what I think it's more parental than big brother or big sister. So I loved it. I think it's actually a more sign of maturity, because some people are like, oh, we'll be quiet on it. But, that's how you can iron out and speak to it when you're falling behind, when your team's on a losing streak, when someone gets injured, because you're basically calling for a sense of accountability, even pretexting to say, hey, screw those guys, go from here. That's how I interpret it. That's just me.
Okay. Yeah. For me, as I've seen it, because I think I listened to Rojas's response, which I think happened yesterday on the podcast he's on.
Where did he get signed at?
He's with the Dodgers. Rojas is with the Dodgers right now. He was traded to the Dodgers.
He's going to go to a team just resting on their laurels half the time.
He played.
Great.
So I was looking at his numbers. He played like 124 games last season for the Dodgers. Played in the playoffs. I think every game of the playoffs. He was their shortstop. I don't think if he went on the trip to Korea, he's technically on their roster, but he's gonna get pushed out because now with all these guys that they've signed, and Mookie Betts is playing short now, he's got no place else to go, right? And the Dodgers will not hesitate to move a guy like him to some, terrible team to
Pittsburgh.
To get a shortstop from somebody or a backup infielder of any sort from another team to make room there for any playoff push into July or whatever. So Miguel Rojas as a Marlin was kind of a weird scenario where he wasn't even the starting shortstop when we got him. It was a Danny Echeverria, who was just more gifted defensively than he was anyways. And Rojas just happened to be one of the guys that was just left there because Marlins had, traded Stanton and Ozuna and Real Muto and Yelich. Like, all those guys were gone. Jose died. Like, all of that was over. So by default, he was one of the old guard of the Marlins at that point. Right? He was with the team since 2013. Just a really dark period for the Marlins. Just nothing good coming out of that. Very few highlights. Jose died. That was like, of course, the darkest point. And, Giancarlo got an MVP, and that was like the high point of all of that era. But no,
now he's wearing luchador masks.
Yeah, no success as far as the team was concerned. Then again, it's a transition period with the ownership and all that stuff, and Rojas just happened to be the guy that was here, and gets the unofficial captain moniker put onto him just because he's one of the guys that just stuck around because nobody else wanted him, wasn't good enough to be going anywhere else, and yeah, I think Rojas by default was seen as like, oh, great team guy, this and that. He could be a manager in the future, this and that. But then Jazz comes in, and we get his side of this story, which I didn't really know was that extent that he was unhappy with the way things were going. And it was very eye-opening. It was nice. And we can't take everything at face value with what he said, but I don't see a reason for him not to a reason for him to embellish it too much, right? Because there's like 25 guys in a clubhouse that can come out and be like, no, all that shit was bullshit that he just said, 10. So he wouldn't have said that if he wasn't confident that other people could back that up as far as what he saw. The fact that he wasn't practicing with the team because he just didn't like the veterans on the team, and they basically forced him to just like, oh, you know what, I'll just do this for myself. I don't need anybody else. I just come in and I'll just do my job when the game starts. And he coming into work early just to not deal with anybody else. And we've all been in work scenarios with coworkers that we hate, trying to avoid seeing them, going into, team meetings where they aired out some grievances that had nothing to do with what was going on the field, and nothing ultimately happened from any of that. We've all been in terrible meetings held by incompetent leaders at any of our ex-employment organizations.
We have also been
and if you haven't been in one of those, then maybe you were the one that was leading it, and you were just incompetent at leading, right? And I think this is where you and I can also have a bit of a perspective with regards to how to lead, because as much as sometimes you especially seem to want to rebel, want to keep that spirit inside of you, there's a bit of selling out there, Charles, and you are a leader. You must manage people and handle people and deal with this and that and personalities and just...
mind you, I am my own personality, so...
Yeah, exactly.
I feel bad. Working in a nonprofit's an interesting gig, but it goes out. I'm on a panel next month, not even to do with like the place that employs me, just like outside.
And when you're one of the more tenured people in an organization, like there's a way that you carry yourself and the way you want to handle things with other people, newer people who have been there, who have not been there, that you're just coming into the organization, or people who've been there for a long time, maybe even longer than you, and how to handle stuff with them, or people who are your supervisors. And I have a theory as to why Miguel Rojas is on this podcast with Chris Rose like once a week, every week. Because I think at one point people were like, "Oh, this guy could be manager material," but I think he's trying to pivot into more of a,
MLB commentary
space, because maybe there are things in his background that have gone on in the clubhouse to show that, oh, this guy may not be cut out for this.
Well, you want the A-Rod Bucks at some point,
but I think it might just be that he may not be cut out for leading a franchise, leading personalities, if part of your way of dealing with younger players who maybe have a bit of a flash to them, may have some flair to them, may have a personality to them, is to cut up their fucking shoes. This is the part story that pissed me off the most, and then pour milk inside of them and then throw them in the trash.
Yeah,
I have no reason to think why would Jazz would make up that. First off, who the fuck thinks of that? As far as like if you want to make a fake story. So that could only be something that actually happened.
Someone made that, there was gambling debts being covered, and then it's fraud. I ain't thinking that.
No. I mean, then that's more of a plausible. Okay, I can make up that story. I don't think of, oh, I hate somebody's fucking shoes, I'll cut them up and throw milk on them. Who the fuck throws milk on shit? So, who throws a shoe? From Austin Powers.
You're at 10.
Yeah, I'm at 14, dude. I'm at 14. Jesus. I know I'm at 14. Maybe because that actually really pissed me off. And
I think it's weird. I'm going to interject slightly. I never got this. I've heard about the hazing in sport cultures and then the stuff that vets will have rookies do. And I'm like, who's to say that a young man or young woman can't lead better just as well? Professionalism, ethics, values, responsibility. Those are the three things that everybody has to have in a workplace, even in sports. The jock stuff is for high school, not even to college. College are on the whims of the university. But, if that, and mind you, do I take it with a grain of salt? Sure. But, as you mentioned, why would you say something that extreme?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it goes to for me, as a Marlins fan, as someone who fucking does the 15 historian stuff, like, I'm like, man, a lot of this stuff adds up. As far as team performance, news that had come out,
is making sense.
News had that come out, like what reporters were reporting, like Craig Mish and all these other people, during that time frame of the Marlins just not being a good team, and like it makes a lot of sense as to, man, no wonder this team couldn't get anywhere, because their personalities, the guys leading them, like there's like when you're managed by a bunch of losers, you're just gonna get more losing.
And Don Mattingly did not strike me as somebody who like would interfere. It's like boys
exactly.
will be boys.
Yeah, it was Don Mattingly and even Derek Jeter. So both of those guys are also to blame for all of that going out. And I felt, it was refreshing to hear Jazz like, man, Skip Schumacher and those guys, like, he's changing everything. And Schumacher's a younger guy, and he's kind of
Schumacher was a player.
And he was a player, and he was in that transition. He's not generations apart like Mattingly was, or even Jeter was when he started, right? He's within the last decade that he was playing, and then he went immediately to coaching, and now he's a manager. So he's seeing the Zoomers and guys that are coming up now. He's much closer to that and handling those personalities. And Rojas doesn't belong on a team like the Marlins. He doesn't even belong as a leader. And the fact that he's on the Dodgers, he's going to ride on the coattails of the Dodgers, because you can bury a guy that sucks that bad on a team that's that stacked, right? Because Rojas is not a good hitter. He can play defense, sure, but when you got Mookie Betts in your lineup, you ain't going to be playing. That's for sure. So, yeah, maybe he'll get it. And if the Dodgers win the World Series and he got traded to Kansas City or whatever in July, he'll get his little ring. And he'll walk around on that podcast and be like, oh, like, I'm a winner. I don't know about that, man. So it makes a lot of sense. I'm on Team Jazz on this. And it's not just because he was on the Marlins, but because, like, Rojas was here. He played a long time here. But man, just a dark period, and just to go out like that, oof. Not a lot of people are like, oh, this is a good look for Jazz. It's mainly the people that unwritten rules people, fucking people that don't like personality in sports. And I think this is more of a bad look on Rojas, especially the fact that he didn't deny any of it. He's like, yeah, I did all that. He basically said, yeah, I did all that shit. 17. Which it doesn't fly nowadays, right? We have all this. It really,
but it's
it
so
weird.
Fly. But it's so weird that we give this exception to sports because it's not tolerable behavior in the professional setting. It's not tolerable behavior in a retail or food and service industry.
Exactly,
guys. So like we love to give the exception to the sports athletes because they entertain us. Oh well, the person at Checkers only says have a great day, and I don't know if they spin it. Well, the MLB player, I bet you the Checkers people are not like cutting people's stuff, cutting their shoes and all that other stuff. The owners might be committing some health code violations, but you're not getting that.
And then discouraging players from not doing a little shimmy. It wasn't even a Juan Soto shimmy. He wasn't even doing one. He kind of just like shaking his butt a little bit. So it was more like a twerk.
It's one of those things where 20 years from now, the stuff that shouldn't be a headache won't be a headache anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, I'll be either dead.
We're still in that transition period, and baseball is still trying to find a way to appeal to the fellow kids. But it really was an eye-opener as to two generations of players and seeing where the divide is. It was very eye-opening in that sense. And you know what? It was fun. And Miguel Rojas blocked half of Marlins Twitter his final season with the team because he was hitting 210.
I remember it was a low average.
Yeah, after half a season and was injured and all these other things. And people were just like, man, you fucking suck, dude. 18. You're the captain of this team. And it wasn't even prompted. It was just that he is a player that is also terminally online. that very much has that ego about him. And also, he's a sneakerhead, by the way. So he was probably just jealous that Jazz could pull off looks with his shoes that Rojas can't even pull off himself.
To transition into a fun part that is also relevant to sports, because your boy bought a new hat. It looks slick as hell. I haven't worn it yet because I don't wear a lot of hats because I like to keep my hair. But damn, it's like I just gotta find it.
You and this. You okay?
It is proven that wearing too many hats can cause you to go bald or have
wearing a hat too much. I have a lot of hats. Actually, I realize I have a problem, and
this is literally going to be the fun part.
Because of work, I can't really wear them anywhere anymore. Well, like I'm aware. I have to tell people not to buy them anymore for me. So I haven't bought one this year. I have not bought a hat this year. I saw all the batting practice one. Charles is the one that bit the bullet on this one.
I had to, and it's sexy. It's sexy. I had to get the re-sign of it, but I was able to fleece it and get it cheaper. It's been 2 years since I bought a hat because I bought the Heat hat, if memory serves me right. I like to have it for my teams respectively because I originally had the full red and black Heat hat from many years ago, and then I went black and red, and I keep that one in my car for in case of emergencies.
I'll put it up on the screen here. Don't worry. So.
Oh yeah. So. But my typical black Heat one is my cleanest. But I told you I have 8 Yankees hats. We talked about it last on the show.
Shop. So I'll find it there. Yeah.
I love it. I love it the black and the white, and I love it with the navy pinstripes. To this day I'll never, because the stitching for the Yankees Yankee hat with the baseball bat inside never is perfect on the stitching. All right, here we go. Look, you see her? You see that gorgeous hat? And so my mother was like, why don't you get the snapback? I'm like, no, because the one that's fitted has the Yankees in cursive in the back, and I just needed that. Apparently, if you're ever hat shopping for me, it's medium large. But when I'm not being a lawyer and I'm not being a cretin at home, I typically wear like jeans and a black shirt, or jeans and a blue shirt. So the hat's like perfect. So I'm gonna partake in that in the next couple of days, because I'll overwear a hat like anybody's thing. But I got a good deal on it. It's not my non-sponsor. It was gonna lead to a theory because you talked about it. Do you think it's better or worse to be either a sneakerhead, a hat addict like this, or a jersey addict?
Which one is the worst?
The
worst compulsive buying and collecting.
Yep.
And I've got a little bit of both. So
I know
a little of all three actually, because
which is like fun for me.
I did have like a sneakerhead phase. Well, actually, and it's not like I'm not buying J's. I don't have the money.
You're not buying high tops, baby.
Yeah, I don't have the money for that. I don't. That's an expensive hobby. Even and jersey collection too. Like hat collecting is the cheapest of the three, but even though the hats have gone up in price, but I think for me, gosh, I feel like the sneakers, as much as it's an expensive habit, it is also a habit that has two sides of the coins to it, where you can make money off of it.
Yep.
Because people are into collecting old sneakers and stuff like that, and you can find shops that can kind of refurbish them back to like new status, and you can sell them. And also, from a practical standpoint, I think you can do more with the shoes. You can go out more with the shoes, right? You can use them a lot more if you're a person that collects them to wear them as a fashion statement. Then there's the worst part of that for sneakerheads, where they collect them and then put them up on their wall as if they were pieces of art. And I can't get with that. I know I know, it could be that, or it could be collecting PVC figurines of your favorite waifus. I get that. There's not really much of a difference there,
There isn't.
But I don't understand. I buy shoes for the function and the fashion with regards to that, but I can't do it for the display purposes. The hats, I know I did them for the display purposes as well, because I wear them, and I also have them. They're situated in the closet right now. I've got like 6 of them, like actually hanging on the wall there in my closet. They're not in the room, I actually had to take them off because I was like, this is a bit much. I had some buyer's remorse. I'm like, I don't know. This is too big. This is. I don't like this look for me. I don't like this scenario of me turning into this. So I've pared it down a bit. They're all inside of a box now, and I only use them in season where it's like, okay, it's Heat and Panthers. Those are the hats that are out right now that I can wear around outside and everything like that. When I go out to like supermarket or something, right? So the hat collecting, I can kind of jive with a little more. The jersey collection, that's a really expensive habit, and Fanatics is making it worse and worse. Where the investment into it is not worth it to me anymore because the jerseys are becoming more expensive. I mean, we just had this whole controversy with Major League Baseball now with the jerseys, where they just look cheap and awful compared to ones they sold last season, where collecting for them is not really worth it too much for me. Or I have to go out of my way to find them on the cheap off of Goodwill. I bought a Marlins jersey for like $5 off of Goodwill because our team sucks, and nobody wants the jersey. It's a brand new jersey, had the tag and everything on it, and a replica. And then I found the Panthers jersey that I found on freaking unclaimedbaggage.com that someone left inside of their suitcase and never got it. So I was lucky on that one too. A $200 jersey that I got for $80. So I'll get stuff on deals like that, and I feel like that's more practical or more functional for me because I go to games, right? So I can be like, okay, I'll wear the Navy Panthers jersey this time. I'll wear this Panthers jersey. I'll wear this Marlins jersey this trip, right? So I can mix it up at least with the jerseys, and I actually have a reason. Like I feel like I could invest in the jerseys a lot more if they were better quality. But it's too high. Like, if you want the really good stuff, it's too high of an investment. I can't do that. But I could buy some stuff on the cheap if I can find it used on eBay and stuff like that. And I go to enough games. I go to at least 10 Marlins games per year, at least 5 or 6 Panthers game, at least 1 Heat game.
And you're going to the playoffs. I'll tell you that now, kids.
Yeah, at least 1 Heat game. And, I don't go to the Dolphins. So, and then 1 off game of, I don't know, maybe the Seminoles or some weird thing where I go see like FAU basketball. I have no idea. I'll see something at least where I can be out in a jersey wearing that. So I think I would hat collecting. I can't do no more. I'm too much of an addict, and I'm no longer in a scenario where I can wear them as much to have that much of a variety. Right. All I do is go to work and go home. If I'm going out, I feel like, this is what happens when you get older too. I feel like I'm starting to feel the age where I'm just like,
self-conscious comes in.
I'm like, I don't know if I can pull off trying to look like a 20-year-old and when I'm 36. Like, I'm starting to feel it in that sense. That's outside of a sporting scenario. Like, if we're going to a game, I'll show out. But if I'm going to, like, God forbid if I have to go to Wynwood, like, I could probably wear a hat. And
you don't want to. Yeah, you don't go into Wynwood with a Heat jersey and Jinko shorts anymore.
Yeah, I can't pull that off. And even then, it's not even my jam no more, right? It's not really a thing for me.
Wynwood's not good. Sorry, I'm just gonna say it.
It's not. And anybody in Miami that thinks it is, just wait a couple years, age a little bit, and you'll realize it's not. So
it's the same 3 places, man.
True. It's just not worth it. Not worth the entire thing. Not the vibe. Nothing like that. So, yeah. So, of the 3, I think the sneakerhead collecting just for display purposes is probably the worst thing out of all of them. I think, to be honest, like I can't. I you know what's the worst part of all of that group of people are the people that wear them to collect them, to display them, but also want to be seen in them, and they walk weirdly because they're trying not to get them creased.
Yep.
And I cannot get into that mindset.
Ladder for people in the back.
I cannot get into that mindset at all. It is, why did you buy it? Why did you want to have this if you want to wear it, but you don't want to ruin the shoe and its pristineness, but it's not pristine no more. Unless you buy 2 of them, but you don't have the money for 2 of them. It's a whole thing with that. I can't deal with it. It's the same people that collect for video games. Like, it's a pristine copy of Super Mario 64. Great. Good job. There's a million other ones that were in a storage box, so the thing doesn't value for nothing. And I could play Super Mario 64 anytime I want. So there's not really much value to it. It's not like a comic book. It's different, All right, that's my rant on collecting and everything like that, Charles. So you got me on a real big rant there.
I learned a lot about you.
Well, it's something that I'm going through right now as I'm clearing stuff out and sending stuff back to my parents' place. Is just stuff that I've been collecting. Like I don't get the same high from collecting a lot of stuff anymore, and it's mainly because I'm seeing things from a more practical standpoint, and what I do need and what I don't need. I retired the Wii U, right? I'm trying to retire the PS3 right now. That's my next goal, and there's a few good games on there that I want to get through. I retired the 3DS. A lot of the Marlins stuff that I've collected is there, and if I ever do get a place that's big enough to have something where I can have that stuff someplace, it'd be nice. But even then, man, I can't see myself. I've seen people with rooms, right, dedicated to their favorite sports teams, and even then, I can look at it and just I'm like, that's a bit much. That's a bit much. I don't know if I love the Marlins that much. So yeah, that's my tangent. All right, we're at an hour and 9 minutes. I want to get through some stuff. I don't want this episode to get too long, where we're at 2.5 hours. If we can do it like an hour 30 or something like that, would be cool.
Game's gonna be short.
Yeah, because we're still in the run up to WrestleMania, right? So
well, I'm gonna split it because I'm not really gonna talk about WWE.
Okay.
I'll talk about like highlights that I was sending you guys the other day, but I'll make an AEW show because WrestleMania is next week, so I'm just gonna make that all WWE.
Okay, yeah. Next week's always the previews that we do before the main event, and then you do your review afterwards. So, yeah. So word from our non-sponsors, people and places, things, concepts, what have you. We've been enjoying over the last week. Charles, were you able to think of one? Or nah? Or do you want me to go?
You go first.
Okay.
Because you're going to do 2, so I'll segment it.
Okay. So, I've been going through a lot of things, some experiencing other stuff. I've been watching TV shows again, Charles. Watching anime again. I watched Invincible, the latest half of the season. They're doing like half now and then half later. So it's kind of ending on not even a cliffhanger. It's just kind of like in the middle of the season where it's like, okay, there's a lot of loose ends that need to go from here. I've been playing a game, Paper Mario, Origami King right now. I'm in I'm 2/5 because there's like 5 bosses or 6 probably. I'm like a third-ish, a little bit more than that through the game. Panthers and Bruins are trying to kill each other right now. That's great. Whoa. Holy crap, Sam Bennett. And that's the soundtrack for the episode today is Origami King. But yeah, I've been going through anime again. I think this is one that I will talk about now. Once again, is this a slice of life anime? Probably a little bit. You know what? You know me, Charles. You know I like my slice of life animes, right?
And we know what I am. I'm the shonen. You're
Yeah,
the slice of life.
you're the guy that watches a million episodes of an anime
Of the same
that
damn thing.
You are tepid about, to say the least. But this is a show that I was
apathetic would probably be more appropriate.
Yeah, okay. But so it's called Rascal Dreams of Bunny Girl Senpai. And it's
you are an adorable human being, and you deserve everything great to you.
Yeah, Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. I watched it on Netflix. I don't know if it's on Crunchyroll or whatever, but it's really about this phenomenon. It's like a I don't know if it's sci-fi. It's just like a weird scenario where, like these high school kids or teenagers are going through like puberty syndrome, which has nothing to do with like puberty and like your growing bodies or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. It's more about like social construct that they're self-conscious about, and it's affecting them in really weird, slightly supernatural ways. Okay, so like the bunny girl, like it only happens in one episode, where this guy, the main character, Sakuta, he just so happens to see this girl in the library that's a high school classmate of his who's like a year older than him, and she's walking around the library in a bunny girl costume, and she's like, "You can see me?" And he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, okay," because nobody else can. And so she's going through this puberty syndrome, and hers just happens to be that people are not able to see her anymore or hear her. Like she's like disappeared from people's consciousness, and she was a childhood actress, and then she just got tired of it, and she just kind of wished like the paparazzi and people would just forget about her. And then it just starts to happen, and she realizes like, oh, this is not really fun. I want people to remember me, and so he has to find a way to help her out with that, to remember her. But then you get to other episodes, and it has to deal with this other kid, or this other person, a friend of his, whatever, and what they're dealing with. And it could be this other supernatural thing. Like one of his friends, she has two of herself. So there's one version of herself, and then there's another version of herself. So she basically split her personalities in a way. So it was an interesting, I think 24 episodes, so just one season of the show. And I think there's some like movies as well that I haven't seen yet, but I don't know, I thought it was well balanced and kind of dealt with like the way people feel like I think it's like a good show for like people growing up and stuff, like, oh, there's stuff that you're self-conscious about, that's and the weird ways that they kind of dealt with it, and then they overcome it by maturing and then realizing, oh, I don't have to like worry about this, because it makes you kind of think of like, man, all this dumb shit that people were worried about when they were kids or in high school and stuff. It's like, yeah, none of that mattered ultimately in the end when you're an adult. So I kind of recommend it. Promo code. Oh man, I don't even know a good one for this. I don't know, just Rascal, whatever.
Rascal's a good one. This one actually came easy to me the minute you started talking, so it's fine because we're talking about anime. I'm not non-sponsoring that for sure. I can't non-sponsor Bleach. We'll talk about that because we'll have fun in the second episode. I'm going to non-sponsor the streaming service that I watch it on. I actually have a lot of streaming services. I understand people are like, we cut the cable. Well, here's the thing, fellas and ladies. There's a plethora of stuff, and cable doesn't always allow me to watch the entire catalog. Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Apple TV, all that fun jazz, Amazon Prime. But no one ever sponsors Amazon Prime because it's so weird. The Prime Video is like, it's a collateral benefit, because really I just want my shipping quickly, going from there. But my non-sponsor is Hulu, because I use it a lot. I really... Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I thought I bailed for a second. But I like Hulu for diversity. I'm not going to talk about the bundle package I have, even though I'm the legacy package because I'm Disney Plus. And who knows? This non-sponsor might be obsolete by next year when everything's consolidated for Disney overlords. Burn them their monopoly. Just saying. However, prior to that, it was one of the first streaming services I got like 10 years ago when I went to law school because we did cut Comcast when it was really expensive. But it was what I was able to watch all those Bleach episodes on. Now, Charles, don't you have Crunchyroll? I do. I don't use it enough. I'm too lazy to cancel it because it is still also the big old catalog of anime versus to Hulu. But I don't just do Hulu for the anime per se. But I watched 266 episodes. No, 200 and something episodes of Bleach. 202 because I skipped all the filler. I watched Demon Slayer on that. I've watched Cowboy Bebop, even though I own the Blu-ray series. I watched it too because I don't want to pop in a Blu-ray when I fall asleep, you know what I mean? Or if I'm just like laying in bed. I watch Abbott Elementary on it because I don't have ABC, because I don't have cable. I'm all just streaming, and that's it. So I was able to watch that. Letterkenny, Shorzy. They put Schitt's Creek on there if I fall asleep onto it. I only watch it for the shows. I have not sat there and said, I'm going to watch a movie on Hulu. It's so weird, but I don't use Netflix. I have it for my parents because that's how, like, my father would be like, this is the weird stuff that, because Netflix has a lot of weird shows that they'll have like 400 episodes on, and they'll just go into it. But for my own, and like you, I don't watch a lot of television. I'm just trying. But Houdini is like, bro, you got to watch Bleach. I'm like, fine. So in a year endeavor, I finally completed it. But, I've seen a lot of my anime. They have the dubs. It's good. It's fine. I was watching Super on my phone the other day because I even have it as an app. So I can watch it during my lunch break if I have that clear thing and I actually have 30 minutes of uninterrupted time to spare, or I'll just watch it at the treadmill to keep the time going on. But I like it. It's accessible. I'm happy with the program it is. It's not really to sell you guys on something that you have. It's my non-sponsor. It's just one of those things where I tell people if they have to say, hey, what does it provide over Netflix? I'm like, well, it got bought out by the mouse, so you're going to get a lot of content in there from it. But it just has a lot of variety. Has a lot of stuff I like show-wise, has my anime, has my comedies. I'll watch Shogun because I have that contract with FX, so I see it there. I'll do it. I watch some of my old FX shows I like Shield, Rescue Me, Nip Tuck. Shows I actually own the DVDs on. It's always something as well. Shows I actually own the DVDs on, but now they're obsolete. So it's like, But it's an easy non-sponsor for me because it's the only streaming app I download. I won't download Netflix on my phone for whatever reason. I was more of a slave to Netflix in law school because that was easier because there was better stuff on there. I think Netflix, for the price that you pay for Netflix, it's like, okay, you're doing XYZ, but I don't pay a lot for the Hulu bundle, but I'm grandfathered in. But even before they got bought out, there was obviously there. And also because I have the ESPN stuff, I watched some hockey on it, and, I was able to watch some other things too. So I like it. It's Hulu. You know what it's about, but it's really reflectively is like what I keep myself using the last couple of days. And really, I think it deserves a shout out. I go to bed watching Bob's Burgers or a comedy. I marathon Bleach on it. I have it at the gym as a first go. I was watching Dragon Ball Super the other day on it because I was revisiting the Goku Black arc because obviously Toriyama being dead. I was like, all right, we're going to do this stuff. So Hulu, promo code, all the TV you love because it's right in front of us. So that's going to be easy. I don't know how you like promo code Hulu, right? So that's going to be easy.
All righty. Okay, well, actually, I'll just hold off on the second non-sponsor. We're at 1 hour and 20. I can do something else differently. So, aside from that, NHL playoff races right now. We're just going to briefly touch on the standings right now. I don't really have much else to kind of dive into it. But it's mainly going with the President's Trophy race right now. So, as of now, NHL. So we're at a point where teams are finally clinching. This is how competitive the NHL is that it takes until now, or about most teams are about 10 to 12 games left on the season until now that we're getting to clinching scenarios for a lot of teams. So nobody has had a runaway season compared to last season with Boston this year. But we should have multiple 100-point teams this season, the way things are going. So league standings, as far as the tank race is concerned, the San Jose Sharks have 5 points less than the Chicago Blackhawks, so good chance they'll have more of the ping pong balls for the draft lottery. So that's what's going down over there. And then as far as the top of the league, so we got the New York Rangers and the Vancouver Canucks. They're at 98 points. And then you have the Florida Panthers, the Boston Bruins, the Colorado Avalanche, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Dallas Stars at 97 points. So all of these teams with the possibility of them having home ice throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. There's always the stigma or the superstition amongst a lot of people that you don't want to win the President's Trophy because it's cursed. But statistically, you have a better shot of winning the whole damn thing if you are the best team in the league and you have home ice throughout the entire playoffs. So it doesn't matter. The Panthers have already won a President's Trophy in my lifetime anyway, so it doesn't matter to me whether they win it or not. Just, be healthy for the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's all I care about right now. But the top teams are, if Ohtani wanted to place a bet on who wins the Stanley Cup, any of those 7 teams that I mentioned would all be wondrous choices. The New York Rangers, who just beat the Panthers recently in a shootout. The Vancouver Canucks, who, puck luck aside, they found a way to keep it up this far in. I don't know if their game translates to the playoffs. We'll see if the luck runs out for them. The Colorado Avalanche are on a heater right now. 9-game winning streak. Getting hot at, maybe premature right now that they're getting hot, but they're fighting for that Central Division title along with the Dallas Stars and the Carolina Hurricanes, who probably made out the best from the trade deadline with all of their acquisitions. They're always a highly defensive team, and now they've got the offensive firepower that might be enough to finally put them over the top, because they've been making the Eastern Conference Finals. They just can't seem to get any further than that. They've just been swept the last 2 times they've been there. And then the Boston Bruins, who are the one team here that I think a lot of people might not want to be too high on, because they've been the beneficiary the most of the loser point this season. They have 15 overtime losses, which is tied for the lead in the NHL. And every other team that's on here has, let's say average 6 on the overtime loss points. So the Bruins can't rely on overtime wins or shootouts at this point. So, and the Bruins, they've been to the shootout 6 times, so they've been able to win in overtime. But can they go any further than that? I'm not sure, because it's not 3-on-3 overtime either. It's still 5-on-5 hockey. So that's really the big question there for Boston. And then you have to round out the top 10. Winnipeg, they've kind of been slowing down a bit. They'll probably just kind of situate themselves as a 3rd seed and face off against Dallas and Colorado. The Maple Leafs, who are kind of situated themselves as the 3rd seed in the Atlantic, face either Florida or Boston in the first round. The Oilers are, I guess, just trying to stay healthy and load up for that first round, because if they can get past, they can get deep into the playoffs, and it's a I don't know. I feel more confident in this Oilers team than I did the team last season. The Nashville Predators have been on a heater as well. They are a very dangerous team that can upset somebody in the first round. The LA Kings also have that ability. The Lightning also are a sneaky team, and that's kind of weird to say about a team, but just all that experience, I think, will translate well to the playoffs because they've been here so many times before. And I guess having at least one season where they exited early could have given them just a bit more recovery time to try and face off against somebody, either the New York Rangers or even the Hurricanes, or maybe Boston or the Panthers. That probably will not be an easy series to face off against Tampa. The Vegas Golden Knights are not having the season that I think a lot of people expected, but I think they'll have some guys magically recover just in time for the playoffs and for another deep run. And then you got Philadelphia, who's rounding it out.
Did you just call them Philadelphia?
My mouth kind of got some spit in there.
That's fantastic, though. Yeah. It makes you really wonder, why have we never just called it Philadelphia?
Yeah. So Philadelphia, so they've I think they've obviously overachieved this season, and I don't really see them winning in a first round matchup against anyone. And then you've got the St. Louis Blues are kind of just petering out. They lost to the Vegas Golden Knights recently, and they needed to beat them in that game. That was like a 4-point swing game there, and they lost it. So unless St. Louis runs the table, I don't think they'll get that final spot in the West for the playoffs. And then you have the Washington Capitals, who have the possibility to sneak into the playoffs because the Detroit Red Wings have completely fallen apart and are just hanging on for dear life. The Capitals are by no means, if you take them as a totality of the entire season, they don't look great on paper. They have a minus 27 goal differential, but they are also a team that's got some experience there, and they could take you to 6 games and not make it easy for you in the first round. And who knows, they might go in slightly hot and could upset somebody. That's if you're one of those top teams, out of the who wins the Central or the Metro Division, the Atlantic Division, I would rather face the Red Wings than the Capitals, because the Red Wings would probably be limping into the playoffs or back into it, whereas the Capitals would have earned their way through because they've kind of put it together. And it's kind of funny because they kind of sort of sold at the deadline. And Ovechkin is now less than 50 goals away from tying Gretzky. So it's a fun thing happening with the Capitals, and I just don't want the Panthers to be on the wrong end of that if they do face off against them. And that's my rundown of the NHL right there, Charles.
There you
go. Yeah. And I just not been paying attention to basketball, man, at all. Not a single thing has kind of caught my eye with basketball.
I'll take the ball.
We're at 1:30 now.
Oh, don't worry about it, because it'd be short. When we went on a bad losing streak, I was like, this seems over. I hate everything. That's how it is being a Heat fan. When there's just so much potential, and you're doing all these things, but they're not out of it. I think they're sitting on.
I haven't really looked at the standings. I'm gonna look at them.
They're at 7th seed right now. They're up 3 on the Warriors. My problem with the Heat, and I know this sounds terrible, but I think it makes sense to a 3-year argument I've been bringing with.
There we go.
If we just got rid of the stupid fucking play-in, 7, I would never worry about the Heat seeding and positioning. But all it takes is one bad game, because we're always injured because we're on our 34th starting lineup, that you always have that anxiety of, if we got 2 bad games that happen, we would get eliminated and no one would shut the hell up about it, because it goes without fail that in the NBA, the Miami Heat are always the team people want to see lose. And you guys say that I'm over-exaggerating. You say that I'm lying. But you know what? It feels like it's right, because we don't have the highest payroll. in the NBA, you guys support those teams. We don't have the teams that have this from start to finish, the first starting 9, 10 are the best of the best. We don't have face of franchises like a Tatum and a Brown. We're just the people that you never want to play and somehow succeed. 2 finals out of 4 years, 3 years, whatever you want to call it. But I always get anxiety on the play-in because of how what people don't understand is you're purposely shortening a season and you're just saying, hey, 6 and 7 and 8, you either win one you're in or you lose, and then you go to another one if you're on 8, but you lose. But you're saying that a team that is 7 games above 500, because it's Miami and Philly, for respect reasons.
So,
both have
I've got the playoff scenarios on the screen here.
The fact that the playoffs has to open up a spot for a 34 and 38 Bulls in the season of today, or a 32 and 39 Falcons, is the reason why I hate the play-in, because it is not without question that we could possibly lose those games, because it's just the war of attrition. It doesn't mean that they're a playoff caliber team. Those 9s and 10s are the ones who just happen to sneak into the playoffs because one season happened, everybody hated the fact that their team didn't make it when they're 1 game above 500.
And the play-in is for those teams because those owners are like, well, we never host playoff games. And so, okay, fine. You get a playoff game. So there you go. Chicago.
But it's the ramifications.
Yeah.
And it could happen. We were on a losing streak. Teams get to losing streaks because injuries happen at the worst time. You short the season. Wasn't the play-in season supposed to fix all this nonsense? Like at the Lakers, who are at the 9th seed right now in the West, and they don't make it, even with everything they have at 39-32. Could go and say, oh, well, we got the play-in tournament. That was supposed to be the gotcha. We got you. Obviously the problem is it was a big team that won. It wasn't the Bulls or the Hawks. But that's what always gives me the anxiety, because there was sweat on my upper lip. I remember sitting at Wild Wings outside watching that game last year in the play-in, and I just absolutely hate it. Everything else feels like it's going according to plan. Terry Rozier impresses me. He makes a couple shots on the leg. We have injuries. Tyler Hero's injured, so really right now he's hitting Giancarlo Stanton level of expectations for me. Just be healthy for the playoffs. Let's see what happens. Oh, Charles, he wasn't there for your playoff run into the finals. Yeah, well, no one else was. Bam did what he could. Jimmy was gassed out. But Duncan's doing Duncan things, which is good for him, because obviously I don't think we're going to extend him when his contract's up with us there. Bam's Bam. He has my respect. I'm not going to complain about him anymore. I'm okay with it. It's expected because really for the Heat, it comes down to very much like the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's just see what happens in the playoffs. Is it not? Mm-hmm. Is it not?
Yeah.
I trust Spo. I like what Rozier's been doing. You have been watching. Jaime kind of fell off a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Right now, here up 53-48, and we need this win because seeding wise,
actually,
that's the whole thing. But if we got the 6, we get Cleveland, and Donovan Mitchell has been hurt. I'll take Boston. I'll be the first person to say it, and it's not even for numerics of
a week ago, right? So
but Mitchell has been injured both times.
Okay,
so it's fine. But I like to think we match up well with almost all these teams.
Yeah.
But that's all I'm going to give, because I haven't watched basketball that much this portion.
So the scenario
I haven't been watching March Madness.
Yeah, the scenario right now is, do you care about the West?
No. I mean, I ate my humble pie regarding the fact that how I said the Mike Brown Kings were going to shit the bed 11, 10, something like that.
A-Rod might get an NBA championship ring.
Right. But it feels like it's balanced because now Denver's back at 1, OKC, all that stuff. The West is interesting just because you're kind of scratching your head. When did OKC get there? When did Minnesota really get there?
Yeah,
the Pelicans are there.
Yeah.
The West will interest me in the
taking
playoffs.
for a long time and have finally been able to reap what they've sown for once.
Yeah. And that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so you got them, New Orleans,
They play too damn late,
Minnesota,
man.
Sacramento, KC, like all these teams that just perpetually been tanking and getting all these draft picks, and okay, it's somehow they finally put it together. And then you have like the other teams. I mean, and the Clippers are kind of there. And then you've got the other, like the teams you expected to be up there, which is Golden State, LA, Phoenix, and Dallas, and they're all playing teams, which is it's like the opposite of everything that was supposed to happen is happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, from the Dallas Golden State come through is basically injuries and old age. That's how you just define it. I mean, Phoenix, I don't even know if their big three has even played together with Beal, Booker, and Durant, if they've played like multiple games together. But like Denver, once again, is number one, as it should be when you're like rating defending champion. OKC, they built it. I'm just surprised how good it is, but they built it. Excuse me, sorry. Mini, fantastic. It's Anthony Edwards' team, not KAT. Just saying. New Orleans, that's the biggest surprise because like I can't name you anybody on that team. I know like Brandon Ingram just like for his knee. Well, that's the whole thing. Like Zion and the guy that was in Porto, CJ McCollum, and then LA, I know was on there because I am like a Russ Westbrook dick rider 13 because I don't think people realize how impressive what I saw when he went on that 3 years straight triple-double thing. It's amazing because we're so spoiled sometimes in this new generation where I'm like, being a basketball fan in the young age, I'm like, this man just unilaterally just took it and single-handedly just took it. Yeah. And I love the petty. And good on Tyronn Lue because he has some older guys in the Kawhis and the Paul Georges and now the Hardens and the Russes. I'm like, dude, you're doing something. And Sacramento, I don't watch enough about it. I know who's supposed to be good there, but this is my opinion on the West. I will definitely watch those damn games when it's playoff time. I'll take my caffeine and we'll be ready. The East, I'm invested in because, it's the conference the Heat play, and I kind of hate certain teams in that conference.
So we'll go down here. So Boston's number one.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
And
I'm seeing the playoffs.
And there is a scenario where the Heat lose to the Sixers. Let's say if things end up the way they do, they lose to the Sixers and end up in the second play-in game and win that one like they did last season, and then face off against Boston in the first round, right?
Yeah, I think the matchups are favorable.
Yeah, and then you've got so that's that matchup, and you could potentially have the Eastern Conference Final being played in the first round.
Yeah,
which I think would bode well if the Heat were able to win that and go forward from there. But you've got that. You've got New York versus Orlando, and we might actually get Andrew to be forced to watch playoff basketball. That'd be fun.
That's not a match or a matchup or like teams that you show people.
Let's give Andrew some Orlando Magic, some '90s hip hop, and see.
Because this is going to be Andrew if he watches it. He's like, so the Magic are putting people to rest on the bench, but New York isn't. Why? And this is our explanation. This is a Tom Thibodeau-led team. And that's all. And we have to somehow explain to this man.
Tom Thibodeau.
Like, Usain Bolt's meniscus? Yeah. Imagine that, like 50 years fast forward in less than a season.
Then we, Cleveland and Indiana. And then... And then the other scenario for the... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just said two very milquetoast teams.
Yeah, milquetoast teams that, I mean, the Cavs with Donovan Mitchell at least are slightly sexier.
And our boy Jared Allen.
Our boy Jared Allen, who, there hasn't been a Zelda game popped out yet, and I don't know what he's playing on the Switch right now. I don't know if he's in the same dilemma that we're in. We're in the final year of this thing. And we're just trying to find things that'll kind of round out the library.
Oh, you know what? We got to talk about the great heist after
the great heist, yeah. So, we're at 140. And again, the other scenario, which the Heat could be in, facing off against Milwaukee again in the first round.
I'm interested in seeing how that plays out because Milwaukee, they're a 2 seed. They never seem to kind of like really be able, except for that one season, they never really be able to kind of like do anything. And I just want the revenge narrative. I love Dame, but I just kind of like, I need you anyway, which I would love to have. I'm very happy with Terry, though. There's something refreshing about how somebody who's under 30.
Yeah, he had his own little moment there as well recently, with the Heat winning late in the game. So he's coming around. The team is kind of right, like he's endearing himself to the fan base.
Yeah, I might get my revenge tour Friday. I have to decide if I want to pull that trigger to see them versus the Trailblazers, and then I will be the biggest. I'll be shouting, "Show me Joe Cronin!" And then they're gonna have to like to escort me out of the premises.
Okay, so that's 141 we're at, Charles. So, yeah, I mean, and as far as gaming is concerned, the scenario for me, once again, I'm in Paper Mario. You are in Hogwarts Legacy right now.
I am. I was in a draw.
True, we both were.
Played a couple. Yeah, we played a couple Helldivers and nothing else. And I had Hogwarts like a year. I bought it not a year ago, but like what, 6 months ago, something like that. Because that's what I do. I just buy with gift cards and stuff like that. Now I'm a peasant on one aspect because for purpose and reasons that will make a lot of sense. I like it. I'm like 31 hours into it. I do like Harry Potter. As I got older, I did get crazy, like obsessive with it. Kind of toned it down a little bit, but it makes you feel it's charming. It's charming, no pun intended, right? But it's charming. It's visually, I have it at like that high capacity fidelity ray tracing with performance, so it clocks in at that beautifulness at 60 FPS, because I could get it to just pure performance, but I'm okay with 60 FPS if it's giving me fidelity and ray tracing, which is very high fidelity. Ray tracing is sexy, you guys. I literally don't know what's going on. There's questions. Being a former very big Potter fan, going into it, I'm like, this stuff doesn't make sense. It goes against kind of lore. Joe Rowling didn't have any touch on it, but it is something. I didn't go out this weekend. I just kind of stayed home. I had to do laundry and all this other stuff. And I just really went ham on it. If kids still say ham. And it's easy to kind of fall into. I've sent you a couple of clips. I like it. You know, I'm not going to give you ratings yet, but if I had to give a rating, we're going to be at like a very strong 8. Okay. And I think it's perfect for people. But it's there's enjoyable. Being on the broom is awesome because it's like web slinging and Spider-Man. You're just like, all right, the minute I got that broom, I wrote a hippogriff. I'm like, okay, remember, he's not Highwing, he's Peter Griffining. I like it. And then, you know, you like origami, which I always kind of want to touch on, you know, with those, but I want to wait till like $40 and I'll tag it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as far and speaking of money, the Great Heist, we're still planning. The time frame got pushed back a couple more months, but that only means, Charles, is a couple more months to pull it off. The Great Heist with regards to putting GameStop out of business.
Oh yeah. All right. So last time we catched up, I had $264 in GameStop gift cards. So I had a $5 expiring gift card for Best Buy for credits I had to use, right? And I was like, I don't really want to put $5 to $50. I'm like, I want to figure out some other stuff to kind of go from there. What am I supposed to do? All this other fun jazz, blah, 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 blah. So what I did, and what I had to do, was Best Buy was doing a sale where like, okay, you spend $100 on video games or so, then you get a $20 gift certificate. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is what I need to do. $50 PSN credit that we put on there, so I have like $70 in PSN credit. So that's just for whatever game comes in or sales. I got Princess Peach. She's coming in tomorrow, Showtime. It was between that or DK, but I'm like, all right, because I was not against Mario versus DK, but I don't know if I want to spend like that money on like a game that's going to have me just go into like small little mini stuff. Let me just do a 7-hour game. So this is the plan. Get it. I'm going to get my $20 cert, right? That could be for whatever I want in the next couple months because those certs are good for like 90 days or so. So $20 is nothing to snuff at. Game could be $40, get it for 20, I'm perfectly fine. I got to go back to my old hustle regime because we put it on credit card money. Not pure cash, but credit card money. But I'll play Peach real quick right after I do Hogwarts, right? So 7 hours, 8 hours done, trade her in immediately. Those games are not going to have replay value. I love Luigi's Mansion. You ever replay Luigi's Mansion? Absolutely not. Hell, I haven't even replayed Mario Odyssey, and I loved it. But I still keep it because it is worthy to stay on my shelf. Trade her in. She'll only have like $35 or $40 on a buyback value or trading value. Then that's going to put us at $300. And if I do not get the cert done with any new PS5 game, they're going to put that 20 It's the Mario DK or Luigi's Mansion 2. If it extends to it, play that immediately, then put in the 30 into it, and that will leave me at a grand total like $330. Just by the time we get to June, with this console projected to be in March, and mind you, the next slew of games I have for the PS5 will get traded into smaller yield. Let's call it between a $15 and $20 base. So best bet 18. 3 additional games, $18. Buddy, we're in the 50 range. We're walking away with a new console, at least a game, and maybe an accessory. This is Danny Ocean right here.
Yeah.
We'll get in the band in. You and Andrew could be my Matt Damon and Brad Pitt. I'm suave. I'm sitting in the corner. I'm talking to Julia Roberts. She's like, don't put GameStop out of business. I'm like, I'm going to put GameStop out of business. But all those little teenagers, I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. All the grandmas had to get a gift. I'm going to do it. It was like all them single moms like, no, my son, please. I'm like, sorry, girl. You ain't getting no Fortnite digital trading currencies. I need this more because there will be nothing. No. We're going to pull a Des here. There is no climax greater than knowing that I'm going to get a brand new console for free. And that's not even discussing trading in my Switch, because if it's backwards compatible, you got to do it.
True.
You keep your memory card.
That is true.
You got to do it. You keep your accessories. It's done. So I'm getting that and then some. And if I can't get and then some, then you keep it on the card. So all those sexy games that come out, you get in the future. This is why GameStop is going to be going out of business, because I devised the plot. I wrote it out. I had a plan, man. Yeah. This ain't George Lucas where we make it up as we go. What I'm giving you guys, this ain't even, Francis Ford Coppola kind of stuff. What I'm doing right here is leading you on to I'm Kevin Feige or whatever his name is kind of stuff right here. We're leading you to Avengers Endgame. And all the sacrifices, but Thanos will be defeated, and everything will be okay.
Excellent. Okay, so we're at 148, Charles. Let's head on over to Cage and wrap up this show.
All right, welcome everybody to your weekly Truplex at Cage with Charles. Reminder, disclaimer: wrestling is not fake. It's scripted. It's a stage fight. It's a song and dance. It's men and women being holy hell of each other, chasing championships, establishing legacies. Just there for giving myself a good old time as I watch. It's WrestleMania season. I've not caught up on some WrestleMania matches. We're going to push WWE to be next week. There's only like 2 things that come out there. We'll make it more of an AEW focused show, but really it'll be kind of like my review of Dynamite and my appreciation of AEW. We don't pull that tribalism nonsense that some people want to put in there. Say one thing's better than the other, one thing's better than the other. I'm like, listen, the way I view it is there's on-brand cereal and there's off-brand cereal. Sometimes the Fruit Loops at Walmart taste the same as just the store-brand Fruit Loops that they have, right? I have ventured that, and it's both good quality. Whether or not I can have cereal with this supposed allergy, we don't know. We'll never know. We'll see. I'm going to have cereal for dinner tonight. It's going to feel like the safe bet. But a little bit on Monday Night Raw, because, Cody, Roman, they saw each other on SmackDown. That's what you guys do. Fine. Last night's Raw, that's what I'm talking about. Very good. The Rock showed up. Jacked. All that tren and anabolic in his body. Gotta tell you right that. Man looking like a very jacked, like peanut M&M. Plain and simple. Him and Cody talking about that stuff, say a few words to each other that you couldn't hear. More on that in a second. Then you had some damn good matches that went on. Ricochet and JD McDonough, fantastic. There was a Canadian destroyer out of nowhere on a lock grip. I was like, what the hell? On a wrist lock? I'm like, what is this nonsense? Oh, Bronson Reed versus Sami Zayn. They'll bring up that whole build for him versus Gunther. We're going to have that show next week. We'll talk about it. That's fine. You had Candice LeRae in a 3-minute squash match. You had some other things that were bringing on. Shinsei Nakamura and Jey Uso that happened there. Then Cody was getting his ass 15 handed to him last night by The Rock. He made him bleed. Rock was saying, Mama Rhodes, look what I did with your boy. All this stuff. I'm invested. Why? Because The Rock and Cody, there's like mutual feuding going on, right? It's Cody is feuding with Roman, also feuding with The Rock. Seth Rollins is really feuding with The Rock and Cody, but not Cody, maybe. Seth is feuding with Rock and Roman, but he's also feuding with Drew McIntyre. There's going to be a tag team match of Seth and Rock. Seth going against, let me rephrase it because I got too excited watching NXT. There's going to be a tag team match at WrestleMania Night 1. The Rock and Roman Reigns teaming up against Seth and then Cody. And then part 2 is going to be Roman versus Cody the next night. So, there's a lot of interweaving. But then also there's the CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre promo last night that's pushing it. the whole point of it, you guys can go on Twitter and follow it, or you can follow the people on Twitter that I follow: Public Enemies Podcast, Hang 'em High, Humble Wrestling, but I think his handle is Wrestling Humble. All those other fun people will be my small shout outs because they bring me a lot of joy when I watch my stupid stuff on Twitter. Point being is that it pushed me to want to be invested into WrestleMania 2 weeks away, which is what you kind of want to happen. Because even though where I know a lot of this is going to go and the card's going to kind of fleshed out, I enjoyed Raw for like the 2.5 hours that I watched, and then I played like Hogwarts before I went to bed. Enjoyable stuff. Watch it. Look at The Rock. He just built like freaking Thanos himself. And then Cody, your attire was off, my dude. You had a checkered vest, a blue-white striped shirt under the vest, and then you had a floral pattern tie. From the outside, it looked great on the camera, but as someone who has to dress professionally all the time, you do you, boo-boo. And I was kind of like annoyed. I texted Derek, like, and, it's just weird, but there's good feuds they're building into it. Let's talk about AEW and what they're doing now. I'm not going to go into stuff that's going on with TNA and all this other fun jazz, but AEW, last week's Dynamite, it was really good, man. I enjoyed it. They had a couple of matches there, and they also had some like, I don't want to say reveals, but people would sign on that we had to expect. I'm just trying to get the full card. I had watched Eddie Kingston versus Kazuchika Okada, who was a big signee who came from New Japan. He beat Eddie Kingston for the Continental Classic. You had Edge and Christian in the I Quit match that I didn't watch because it was getting like it was set out too long. So I was like, all right, I was gonna go do something else. But I watched the highlights of it and I thought that was good. Yeah, Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, formerly known as Sasha Banks, show up, do her thing. She had been in Big Business a week prior. They're building some storylines in there. I was just enjoying it, man. Like, you really, I didn't really care too much about Chris Jericho versus Hook, but you appreciate, I think, that you're getting it on free television instead of having to pay for it. And even though I've been somewhat satisfied on the pay-per-view matches I have paid for, I'm just enjoying going from there. They're going to build to AEW Dynasty, which is their other pay-per-view in April, which I think is 2 weeks from now, which is all very like headache-inducing for Charles. I'm like, well, I'm not excited for certain matches, but like I am to a degree. But it's good television, so it's my way of saying, hey, I've been focused on it. They're building the story. I don't know what the hell they're doing with the Undisputed Kingdom. It's not a story I like. But Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, are we getting it? Are we going to crown Swerve at Dynasty and have Hangman come back and then continue that feud, even though I think it needs a break? It's good times to be a wrestling fan when it's not dogged down by the whole devil storyline that we're doing with MJF and Adam Cole. I understand that Tony Khan was kind of like in a rock and a hard place because the injury happened, but that's why in wrestling, like a carny sport that it is, you have to kind of like, card subject change and just change a few things with it and just see what you can make out of it. Like Kobe said, you got to make, chicken salad out of chicken shit. And that's sometimes what you have to do with injuries that are happening in wrestling. But it's just been enjoyable. And in a time like this where you're about to get WrestleMania next week, and then AEW Dynasty, you just need to watch it because it's different talents. Sometimes they feel the same, sometimes they're vastly different, but they can be enjoyable. But what happens is if anything, you don't have to support fully the brands if you want to. What you should do is support the wrestlers, whether they're going to AEW or WWE or going back and forth or going to Impact or going elsewhere. There's some damn good, enjoyable stuff there. And I would encourage people just go on the Twitter, see what's happening, and then just build from it. But we like it. It's good. There's still too many championships, though, man. And I need them to kind of condense that because you have the AEW World Championship, currently held by Samoa Joe, Continental Classic Crown Championship thing by Kazuchika Okada. Roddy Strong is the international champion, but I don't know what's going on there. You have the tag titles. You have, which are currently held by, oh man, did my brain just fog up? Oh, there's a vacancy because Sting and Darby had it, and then Sting retired, so they put it vacant, so they're gonna have a tournament on it that crowns that dynasty. Then you have the trios titles by the Acclaim, who are now feuding with Bullet Club Gold, and it's like, fine, we'll see what happens. But Bullet Club Gold with Jay White and then Austin and Colton Gunn are also the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champs. Because remember, Ring of Honor AEW under Sam Umbrella, so we'll see how that's gonna like bleed in between. Then you have the women's champion, which is Toni Storm, and then you have the TBS champion, who is Julia Hart. Man, it's a mouthful of stuff that you gotta say. It just kind of gets you. And the question you have to ask is, how do you build stories outside of titles? We've talked about it before. It's been like your education. and I haven't got into the investment of it, but I think it's a good kind of reset because I feel like the product's a little bit more. I don't want to be mean when I say this, more to my watching and viewership now that they've kind of changed certain champions, like when they went from putting the title off of MJF onto Samoa Joe. I'm more inclined to want to watch it. The Edge and Christian stuff, so I'll go on this one. I don't. Christian having the TNT title worked for certain things of the storyline. Adam Copeland, who was formerly Edge, who was revered big time in WWE, WWF, getting the title doesn't do it for me. And the problem is because I think I'm always going to view the guy as a main event spectacle. And there is a hierarchy of cards, no matter, even though Tony Khan propels the belief that any title is important, it is, but cards is structure. Card is, it's brilliance. It's how you help make certain things aside of what's the big money, the low money, anything like that. I think sometimes how they build it is more or less like boxing, where heavyweight title, middleweight title, welterweight title, light heavies, and light titles, they can outshine because sometimes the vision is what's better, if that makes sense. I know you don't follow boxing like that, but you know who your Mike Tysons are, but then you also know who your Canelo Alvarez's are, coming into it, because you can have this whole thing. I think in wrestling, it's easier for me to kind of like put the hierarchy because you climb up to get the main world title, right? Or the main women's championship. You can have champions who define mid-card titles, but it's easier to call it mid-card titles because you got people who move better merch in the mid-card and everything of that nature, fine. But Edge, or Copeland, who's a main event spectacle, really just been feuding with, anything related to Christian. Now he's got the TNT title, which I call a mid-card title. Who is he going to feud? Guys who are not main eventers, right? He's going to bring back an open challenge. I don't know. I guess I have to deal with some copium, as the kids on the internet say, as Copeland would probably say. But that's my one question and concern. Wouldn't you feel better off to put it into it where he's just having dream matches like Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson's doing with Will Ospreay? I don't know. I know the dream feud was Christian and Copeland, because I think before they fully retire, they'll get back as a tag team together, which is fine, by all means. Wrestling should have perfect storybook endings. It's a love story, as Bray Wyatt would say. I'm not watching that documentary, though. I will cry. The Peacock one on Bray, I don't know if I got it in me, man. I'm a coward. I walk away from emotion. However, that's my one thing. I'm liking where AEW is going. I'm enjoying the free television, but I don't know if I want Copeland holding a TNT out. But I don't run the show. I don't pay the bills. I'm just a good viewer. Out of my question. But that's all I got for you this week on The Cage.
Okay. All right. So I think that's it for us. I think we'll try and do this next week so you can have your big wrestling, a WrestleMania preview. And then we'll go from there. Aside from that, playoff stuff, baseball starts. See you guys. Bye.
Take care.